The funniest part about this next story isn't so much the numbers, it's that they came from Fox News, the network that spent years telling its audience Republicans own the economy, they own immigration, they are the best on national security, Democrats are in free fall. And then Fox commissions its own poll, which, by the way, Fox News polling is quite good, and accidentally tells a completely different story. Take a look at this, and then we will discuss it.
Fox polling shows voters want major changes on top issues. Good morning, Lauren. What changes?
Good morning. Well, 4 in 10 want revolutionary change. That shows voters are unhappy and could register their discontent at the polls in November. Voters telling Fox that Democrats would do a better job on 7 of 9 major issues. Pull it up and we'll go from the bottom up. Voters favored Democrats by 22 points on income inequality. Dems are up 21 points on health care. They're up 10 on inflation. They're also leading on the economy, foreign policy, government spending, even immigration. Republicans lead on crime and on national security. Both parties say they are motivated to vote, but 68% of Democrats say they are extremely motivated versus 57% for Republicans.
Well, looks pretty bad, doesn't it?
Fox looks pretty bad, doesn't it? That's a brutal set of numbers if you're Trump or the Republican Party. Democrats ahead 21 points on healthcare, up 10 points on inflation, which maybe is the most shocking result considering Republicans spent years saying Biden's a disaster on inflation, Trump's going to be great, we're going to dominate politically because we're going to be so good on inflation. And then according to Fox's own polling, Democrats are ahead on the economy, which again, supposedly Republicans are great on that. They're ahead on foreign policy. They're ahead on government spending. They're ahead on immigration. Immigration supposedly was Trump's signature issue. He's kind of touted it as one of his signature issues for a decade, and he always comes back to it. And MAGA believes that is his strength. And then Fox's own polling says Republicans aren't even winning there. So that is like a big red warning sign. Now, does one poll decide an election? Of course it doesn't. Polls bounce around and different firms get different results. Nobody should overreact to any single survey. But the who conducted this is fascinating. When Fox, the network whose audience overwhelmingly supports Republicans, publishes numbers this bad, it's just tougher for Republicans to dismiss it as liberal propaganda. Now, Trump has tried. He'll go, well, we like Fox, but Fox's polling is not so good. He tries to get people not to pay attention to this polling. But Fox's polling is pretty good, and it tells us something bigger, which is politics is much more than what politicians say. It's, do voters feel their lives are improving? And one of the things that is a very fair criticism of the Biden administration, and I talked about this with Governor Gavin Newsom on his podcast earlier this week, and it was, I think, one of the big mistakes of Biden-Harris. You can't just tell people things are awesome, and you can't just point to numbers. People have to feel that things are good. And Donald Trump's promises run directly counter to what people feel and what happened to be the facts. Trump promised we're going to bring prices down. Prices have gone up. Inflation has bounced around, down, up, but it's been positive, meaning prices continue to go up. And Trump promised that the certainty, the feeling of certainty with the economic situation would increase. And instead, it's like tariffs are on, tariffs are off, prices are higher, we've got a new war, 20% of oil that goes through the Strait of Hormuz is now held up. And the whole peace through strength thing that he promised hasn't worked. And Americans watch, and it's one international crisis after another. And so people's lives aren't matching the promises that Donald Trump successfully sold them during the campaign to a degree. And that branding of the economy fixer is not sticking. That's what these numbers at some core level are picking up. Republicans spent years assuming talking about inflation and immigration is going to make voters trust us. And voters aren't trusting them. You're governing now, and your slogans are being judged, and they're BS. And if Fox News's polling is even remotely close to correct, there are a lot of Americans who just don't accept the results. This is a bigger problem for Republicans than a bad news cycle. We've got a midterm, a critical midterm, just months from now. And this is a warning that the sort of underlying political fundamentals are shifting. And when Fox is delivering the message through their polling and with Stuart Varney going, well, that doesn't sound so good, does it? Republicans have a real problem. This, I believe, is where a lot of Donald Trump's desperation is coming from. And this is why he's obsessed with passing the Save America Act. This is why he is talking about, I might have to declare an emergency. This is why he commandeered national television at 9 p.m. last week, I guess it was, to talk about how they're finding all this evidence of rigging. This is rigged, that's rigged, and we got to prepare the public to accept invasive measures. He's panicking because he knows if they lose the House, if Republicans lose the House, that's it for his presidency. And not only is that it for getting any major legislation passed, it's also going to be 2 years of investigations and oversight and subpoenas and possibly depositions. He's terrified of that. And in the middle of all this, Republicans are realizing, damn, we don't want J.D. Vance to be the nominee. We'll get to that later. Quick break, back after this. Appreciate you watching. Stick around for this next video, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you actually see our uploads. You can also catch the full podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.